Hi there. My name's Dr. Jennifer Posa, and I'm an organizational psychologist. I've spent the last 3 decades of my career working within some of the highest performing organizations around the globe. Mayo Clinic, Johnson & Johnson, and most recently was honored to serve as the first Chief Wellbeing Officer at the Central Intelligence Agency. As we celebrate Women's History Month, I wanted to bring to you the experience of speaking with some of the highest performing leaders that I've had the privilege of working with throughout my career. I've had discussions with them and asked if I could share those discussions with you here on the social media platform so that you could hear their thoughts around advice they might give to an individual who's navigating this complex environment and shaping their own leadership journey. I hope you enjoy the discussions. Hi, Laurie, how are you?
Hi, Jennifer.
It's so good to see you. I've been waiting for this opportunity for, the last week or so in anticipation of it. Before we jump in, I do want to make sure that the folks listening have an idea of who you are, your role. I know, of course, we've known each other for many years now and have had the opportunity to work together, which I'm so grateful for. But currently you are the National Vice President of Policy, Research, and Translation at the American Heart Association. But so that they can get to know you a little bit further, could you share a little bit more about that role, your career, and certainly anything personally that you wanted to share regarding yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you. First of all, it's an honor to be with you and to have the opportunity to do this interview. Jen, it's been wonderful to be able to work with you and consider you a friend through the years and serve on boards together and just be able to collaborate and coordinate. So I have the privilege of working as National Vice President of Policy Research for the American Heart Association, translating science and evidence into impactful public policy solutions for heart and brain health. And I also serve as senior advisor to the Physical Activity Alliance, where we are working on the national policy and systems change to improve and provide opportunity for physical activity for all. So it's amazing to be able to wake up to those missions every morning and do the work that I do. And I'm looking forward to our conversation today, and I can't wait to get into the discussion.
So Laurie, let's jump in. Let's jump into the first question that I have for you, which is if you could share 3 things with anyone out there, specifically women, because it's Women's History Month, around guidance or advice that you would have for them to flourish in their career as well as their life, and certainly integrate well-being in successfully, what would those 3 pieces of advice be?
Such a great question, and it's exciting to think this through with you. I feel like one of the most important things these days is personal connection. In this age of electronic submission of our resumes and electronic communication, social media, the inundation, with email, that the personal connection is really more important than ever. And so I would just say, seek those opportunities whenever you can. And, if you, especially as you begin to expand your professional network, do it both in person as well as, whenever you can find the opportunity to connect. But I just think that's so important. I had a young professional who reached out a couple of weeks ago about an interest in working for the American Heart Association, and we met in person on Capitol Hill, and that allowed me to see so much more about her and think about her for different positions within the organization that I wouldn't have had we just, as she just shared her resume with me. So that cup of coffee actually led to some really great things. And then I would say, have that trusted group of advisors and friends that you can rely on throughout your career, give you honest feedback, to be there for each other, and help you through the ups and downs, the good and the bad. And then, keep your moral foundation throughout your career. I think that's, fundamental to good leadership. And I just hope that, everybody has the opportunity to wake up to a meaningful mission in their work every day. I think that's really important for overall health and well-being. And I would just say, especially for young women and professional women overall, just lifting each other up as much as possible in the times that we're in, and just as kind of a way to pay it forward. I just think we can all make the commitment, to do our best to lift everyone up, especially young women, because we're in challenging times.
So I kind of want to dig into all three. So I'm thinking about your first piece of advice, which is around make it personal, establish the relationships, you meeting the young professional, meeting her really influenced you differently than just seeing her resume come through with others, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember with my career, actually, my first job, I worked at Mayo Clinic for 17 years, and I met the hiring manager for Mayo Clinic actually at a conference 2 years before that. I'm going to date myself now. It was before email. So, but I remember us actually having phone calls to stay in touch because we knew we had an interest in potentially working together one day. He saw something in me, which I so appreciated. But I remember actually sending him faxes, Laurie. I
Oh,
remember sending him faxes and saying, did you see this article? I think you'd really like it. But to this day, I'm actually friends with him. You probably know him, Mike Casey.
oh yeah.
Has been a long time, person in our field that I have so much respect for. But I established that relationship with him when I was a newcomer in the field by taking the opportunity to make it personal.
Yeah.
And say, we might be living in different areas of the country, but you have intrigued me as a potential employer. I've intrigued you as a potential candidate. There wasn't a job opening. It took 2 years. But then when he did have a position, he reached out to me and said, hey, I finally have a position that I think would be good for you. But it was that personal connection, to your point, that made the difference. So I think that's advice that I think I could even attest to has worked for me in my career. And then I think about, we both as individuals so lucky to be in a field that we love, but also ones that we've established relationships. I mean, we wouldn't be talking here today if it wasn't for our personal relationship and respect for one another, right?
That's right. Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think that is just that what a fantastic story, and just exemplifies the importance of staying connected. I go to we've been to so many conferences throughout our careers, right? And to me, probably the most valuable part of attending conferences and meetings is just that personal, professional touch, the hallway conversations.
Absolutely. I want to go to your second one though, because I feel like I'm validating everything you say, which is not a surprise to me. But I will tell you, I'll give my own personal slant on it. The advisory group recommendation, that's really good. And what I liked about what you were saying was kind of in good times and not great times, because I think I will be honest, and I think I have made this mistake myself sometimes. In times of challenge or in need, you're immediately going out to people who you're like, oh my gosh, maybe they can help me. Because that's just human nature, right? It's survival. But I think about the importance of connecting with people when there isn't an urgent need and when times are good. And I think about your give back statement, because I do feel that the women in my life that I really respect and that I've developed relationships with professionally and personally, those relationships are so strong and their guidance is so much better because we talk when it's great and not great, not just one or the other, because they tend to know you as a whole person. And then they can actually be a tremendous sounding board, regardless of where you're at with either a challenge or a growth opportunity.
Oh,
Do
I
you feel the
totally
same
agree.
way?
I totally feel that way. In fact, I think it's that ongoing connection where you're really building, your deep friendships and the trusted relationships. And like you say, you're not just reaching out when times are hard, that you're there for each other no matter what. And sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's using our sense of humor, to be happy about a moment or just uplift during a tough time.
So, can you speak a little bit to also how you structure that career wise? For me, whenever I take on a new role at an organization, I tend to ask for, I've learned this over the last 15 years. I ask for a mentor or what I would call a Sherpa,
Mm.
that isn't in my direct line of performance management, because I always feel like I've needed, when I've moved into new organizations, I really need somebody who can serve as a guide, a Sherpa, to say, is this the appropriate way? Is this culturally how you navigate this situation? And I always felt like it was helpful to have a safe person. So not only like this group of advisors that you've known for years, but then strategically identifying a way to have that support you in your new roles within organizations. You've been with the American Heart Association for how long now, Laurie?
25 years. So I haven't had well, I had new roles within the organization, but I love your idea. We do have a formal mentorship program, and I've never thought about taking advantage of it for that, but that's a great idea. And so, but I think kind of your mentor group can be both inside and outside the organization. And sometimes I lean on those outside just for that more objective perspective. But then, as you say, if you need to get some situational awareness or intel on how to navigate internally, for me, those have been kind of informal friendships, relationships. But I do love the idea of seeking out a formal mentorship opportunity.
Yeah. No, I think there's anything you can do, right, to establish what I would call your advisory group. I mean, I recently left, a very large organization, and now I'm standing up my own business, and I feel like I'm building an advisory group around me, because I don't think there's a point in your career, whether you're a solopreneur, whether you're within a large organization like American Heart Association, the agency, Mayo Clinic, Johnson & Johnson, all the places that I've worked, you always need a team that you feel like you can go out to and can help you understand maybe some steps that maybe your blind spots, or maybe even some guidance to help you get through whatever challenge or growth opportunity you have. So that's awesome. So your last comment is very intriguing to me, obviously, as an organizational psychologist with culture. And you talk about moral foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's pull back the onion on that one a little bit more. Are you talking about personal values? Like, tell me a little bit more about that guidance, because I think this is the deep stuff that is quite personal for someone to consider as they grow.
Yeah, and I think we all have our guiding values, our ethical foundation in the context of our personal and professional lives. And having that grounding is really, really important. And I've been fortunate to work in an organization where that's never a question, where I've never had to compromise my moral foundation in the context of the work I do. In fact, it is part of our culture that is front and center. But I know of colleagues and friends who have been in situations where they have had to make those compromises. And I think if that becomes the case, you really have to ask yourself if that advancement opportunity or that special position is really truly where you want to be in your career, and what is going to be the long-term implication of staying in the role.
So I'm happy to tell you that the research actually backs your guidance too, because one of the key drivers of burnout is actually values mismatch.
Mhm.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And you could probably see that, right?
Mhm.
When we are misaligned with maybe the decision making or the organization's mission or culture, and it really doesn't speak to us personally, it actually creates this internal stress that can contribute to burnout. So that's really, really important. You probably, I mean, have, like you said, had an easy time with this because of American Heart Association, because of your background. Um, Laurie, you're a PhD in, remind me.
Oh, I have my PhD in nutritional science, applied physiology. So that's why I've worked a lot on the prevention, you know, breadth of the prevention work we've done at the American Heart Association. That's been really an incredible journey across, whether it's tobacco, nutrition, physical activity. But, is, in our work in policy research, I work across our strategic policy agenda, which is really wide. So I feel like I've been fortunate. Every day is a little bit different in my career, and I've had the opportunity to work with amazing thought leaders, volunteers, clinicians, researchers. What a privilege it's been. And I am just, and our culture at the American Heart Association is one where we depend a lot on, over 30 million, over 35 million volunteers across the country who give their time to us. So I'm privileged to get to work with them every day.
So you, I mean, you really walked into the dream organization based on your background, your education, your interest areas, your skill set. So clearly, that's been such a strong component of kind of your career success. And thank you again for what you do, because, whether it be corralling those volunteers, setting the policy agenda on the Hill to make sure that we can support all these really, really important initiatives to help people stay healthy and have the support they need to stay healthy. Those are really important things. So, last question before we end our time together. You have likely had the opportunity to learn from incredible female leaders. And again, if you were to think, I know you probably can't decide on one, but if there was one female leader that you could share with us that has been a role model to you, that has inspired you in your own career, that you might want to highlight on this call, not only to acknowledge her, but also to share with others what she's done in your mind and who she's been to you, I'd love to hear who that is.
Sure. Well, thank you. You're absolutely right. It's hard to narrow this down because I've benefited throughout my career from incredible mentors, both men and women, who have really helped me along the way. And so, but the one person I guess I would lift up today is Dr. Rosemary Robertson. She was our Chief Science and Medical Officer at the American Heart Association. Early in my career, I had the chance to be an interim science and medicine advisor and work with her closely on some projects. And she really, I was freshly out of my PhD, and, she really helped show me the culture of AHA and teach me, as we were just talking about, the incredible people that we get to work with every day, the culture, working within that culture. We have to go about our work with humility and grace, and also we're an evidence-based organization. Our science is our foundation in all that we do, and just coming to respect that, how important it is to maintain that trust and credibility of our brand and our science and our evidence base. That has really helped as I moved over to policy research. It continues to be the foundation for our work as well. But just how she taught me and was so gracious with her time, her poignant questions that got me to think about things in the right way. I just am really grateful.
Oh, that's wonderful. What a great testament. And also, again, clearly an instrumental person in the success of American Heart Association. Laurie, thank you so much. I think this gives us the ability to share your guidance with women throughout the world for the month of March, so that they can learn from you. And thanks for paying it forward with me. It's such a pleasure. And as you know, I'm super grateful for our friendship, for the work that you do, for the partnerships we've been able to have together. So let's continue to support all those women out there and help them do the same with their professional and personal lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.